I never imagined I'd be here, sharing my story like this, but life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. My name is Tom, and I was happily married to Lisa for 6 years. We had what I thought was a perfect life. We bought a cozy little house in a nice neighborhood, made plans for kids, and spent weekends hiking or just binge-watching shows on the couch. Lisa was beautiful, smart, and had this infectious laugh that could lighten up the darkest days. Or so I thought. It started with little things, subtle changes that made me uneasy. Lisa was always glued to her phone, texting at odd hours, and seemed distant. When I would ask about her day, she would give me one-word answers or change the subject. I brushed it off at first. Maybe she was just stressed with work. But there was an anxious knot in my stomach that I couldn't shake off. One evening, I came home early from work. The house was unusually quiet. I noticed Lisa's car was in the driveway, but she was nowhere to be found. I called out her name, but all I heard was silence. My gut instinct told me something was off. I checked her usual spots, nothing. Then I glanced at the kitchen table and saw her phone lying there, screen lit up. Curious, I picked it up, and that's when everything fell apart. There were texts from a guy named Matt. "Can't wait to see you tonight," one read. Another one said, "Last night was incredible." My heart raced as I scrolled through the messages. They were flirty, intimate, and clearly not meant for my eyes. The world around me faded, and all I could feel was a crushing weight in my chest. The sweet moments that once defined our relationship were replaced by a cold reality. My wife was cheating on me. When she walked through the door, she was all smiles until she saw the look on my face. I didn't need to say a word. "Tom, what's wrong?" she asked, her voice laced with false concern. I held up her phone, the evidence glaring back at us. "Care to explain?" I demanded, my voice shaking with a mix of anger and betrayal. Lisa's reaction was something I never expected. Instead of breaking down or apologizing, she got defensive. "It's not what you think. Matt is just a friend." She blurted out, but her eyes betrayed her. I could see guilt written all over her face. She tried to brush off the texts as harmless, claiming they were just jokes. But my heart was shattered. How could she lie so easily? "I can't believe you would do this to us," I said, feeling the heat rise in my cheeks. "Do you even care about our marriage?" "Of course I do. It was just a stupid mistake." "You know, you've been so busy with work, I felt lonely," she replied, twisting into victim mode. I was furious. How could she turn this around on me? I had been working hard for our future while she was off being unfaithful. I'd always thought I was a patient person, but in that moment, I felt like I'd been slapped in the face. My world was crumbling, and all I wanted to do was scream. Instead, I found myself retreating, packing the living room as I tried to process the whirlwind of emotions that were crashing over me: shock, anger, sadness, and disbelief. As she stood there, I couldn't help but think about all those times I had trusted her, all the moments we had shared that now felt tainted. I wanted to scream at her, to demand answers, but I felt paralyzed by the depth of my heartbreak. After what felt like hours of silence, I finally spoke. "I need some time to think." That was the moment everything changed. I had no idea how I'd navigate this new reality or how I would move forward from this betrayal. I just knew that from that day on, my life would never be the same. In the days that followed, I kept replaying that confrontation in my mind, torn between anger and sadness. I knew I had to make a decision, but I felt lost in a fog of conflicting emotions. How could I possibly forgive her? And yet, a part of me still clung to the hope that we could salvage our marriage. I was about to embark on a turbulent emotional journey that would end in a place I could never have anticipated. If you want to continue with the next part, just let me know. The days that followed were like a surreal dream where I was both a spectator and a participant. My mind was racing, filled with memories of better times, laughing over dinner, late-night talks, and trips to the beach. But those moments started to feel like they belonged to someone else, a distant past overshadowed by Lisa's betrayal. I took to walking around the neighborhood, just trying to clear my head. I'd pass by the park where we used to stroll, hand in hand, and I'd feel an ache in my chest. Each time I saw a couple laughing or a family playing together, I was reminded of what I had lost. It was during one of these walks that I decided to confront Lisa again, not just about her cheating, but about our future. When I got home that evening, Lisa was sitting at the kitchen table, her head buried in her hands. I could see the guilt etched on her face, but it was mixed with anger, as if she couldn't believe I was still upset. "Tom, can we please talk?" she asked, lifting her head to meet my eyes. I nodded, but I felt a surge of resentment. "Talk about what? How you've been lying to me?" I shot back, my voice sharper than I intended. "I don't even know if I can trust you anymore." Her demeanor shifted as she started to cry. "I messed up and I'm so sorry. I just got caught up in the moment. Please let me explain. I was feeling neglected." I couldn't help but wonder if this was just another excuse. Neglected? "Lisa, I've been working long hours to provide for us. You know that. You could have talked to me instead of running into someone else's arms." "I didn't mean to hurt you. It was a mistake, a stupid mistake," she pleaded. "I love you, Tom, I do." That word love felt hollow in that moment. I wanted to believe her, but the bond we shared felt fragile, like it could shatter at any moment. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside me. "Do you even understand what you've done? You've shattered my trust." "I know," she said, looking defeated. "But we can work through this. I don't want to lose you." Her words hit me hard. Part of me wanted to grab onto that hope, to believe that we could pick up the pieces and rebuild. But another part of me, the part that had been hurt too deeply, was screaming to walk away. I spent the next few nights tossing and turning, consumed by thoughts of how I could move forward. Should I forgive her? Try to forget about this whole disaster? I turned to my friends for advice. I just needed someone to listen. I remember sitting down with my buddy Mike at our usual bar. He was the kind of friend who always had a no-nonsense approach to life. I explained everything to him, from the initial signs of trouble to the moment I found those texts. "Dude, that sucks, but you have to ask yourself, is this who you want to be with?" he said, taking a sip of his beer. "You deserve someone who's going to be faithful to you." I could feel the weight of his words sinking in. I knew he was right, but my heart was in turmoil. I still loved Lisa, despite everything. I couldn't just turn off my feelings like a switch. After a few days of reflection, I decided that I needed to confront her one last time. I needed clarity before making any decisions about our future. I waited for her to come home from work. My heart was pounding as I prepared for this conversation. When she walked through the door, I could see the stress written all over her face. "Tom, can we just put this behind us? I'm trying to move forward," she said, her tone almost pleading. "No, Lisa. We need to talk about what this means for us," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "I need to know if you're truly remorseful or if you're just saying what you think I want to hear." "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you," she cried, and I could see genuine tears streaming down her face. "It was a stupid fling, and I know it was wrong. I want to fix this." "Fix this? How? You can't just erase what you've done," I exclaimed, unable to contain my frustration. "You've hurt me in a way I never thought possible. Please, Tom, let's go to counseling." "I'll do anything to make this work," she implored, desperation creeping into her voice. Counseling. The word hung in the air. Part of me wanted to agree. Maybe it could help us communicate better, help us understand each other's needs. But another part of me wondered if it was too late for that. In that moment, I felt a wave of sadness wash over me. I realized I was not just wrestling with the idea of forgiveness. I was grappling with the fear of losing the life we had built together. Ultimately, the decision loomed over me. I knew I had to make a choice, but the thought of letting go was terrifying. How could I walk away from the love I once knew? As I sat there, I felt the weight of my emotions: betrayal, anger, love, and confusion. I was caught between the past and an uncertain future, and it was becoming clear that no matter what choice I made, the road ahead wouldn't be easy. If you'd like to read the next part, just let me know. The days following my confrontation with Lisa were a blur. I felt like I was walking through a fog, unable to see clearly. My mind was racing, filled with doubt and uncertainty about our future. I was wrestling with the idea of counseling, weighing the possibility of saving our marriage against the ache of betrayal I felt every time I thought of her with Matt. I made an appointment for us to see a marriage counselor. I thought it would be a step in the right direction, a chance to lay everything out on the table and see if we could find a way back to each other. But when the day arrived, I was filled with dread. I wasn't sure if I was ready to sit across from Lisa and relive the pain, or if I truly believed it was possible to fix what had been broken. We sat in the waiting room of the counseling office, the air thick with tension. I could feel Lisa fidgeting beside me, her fingers tapping nervously on her knee. I turned to her and said, "Are you ready for this?" She nodded, but her eyes were downcast. When we were called into the counselor's office, I took a deep breath. The counselor, a middle-aged woman named Dr. Miller, greeted us with a warm smile. "Thank you both for coming in today. I know this can be a difficult step, but it's a positive move towards healing," she said, her voice soothing. As we sat down, I felt the weight of my emotions starting to bubble up. Dr. Miller asked us to share what brought us to therapy. Lisa went first, expressing her remorse and how she felt it was a mistake. "I never meant to hurt Tom," she said, her voice quivering. "I got caught up in the excitement of someone new and lost sight of what really matters." As I listened to her speak, my anger simmered just beneath the surface. I wanted to scream at her, to tell her how her actions felt like a slap in the face, but I held it in. Instead, I focused on the reality that was unfolding before me. "Tom, how do you feel about what Lisa just said?" Dr. Miller asked, turning her attention to me. I took a moment, trying to gather my thoughts. "I'm still hurt," I admitted, my voice thick with emotion. "I feel betrayed, and it's hard to see how we can go back to how things were. I've always trusted Lisa, and now I'm questioning everything." Dr. Miller nodded, encouraging me to express my feelings. "It's completely normal to feel that way. Trust is a fundamental part of any relationship, and it can take time to rebuild." As the session continued, we explored the reasons behind Lisa's infidelity, her feelings of loneliness, her desire for attention that she said she wasn't receiving. It was strange to hear her speak about her feelings, and a part of me felt pity, but another part of me felt like I was being manipulated. After the session, we walked out in silence. Lisa turned to me, her eyes pleading. "Did you see? We can make this work. I really want to try," she said, her voice hopeful. I nodded, feeling overwhelmed. "Yeah, maybe. But I need time to process all of this. It's not easy for me to just forget." The next week, I found myself in a routine of counseling sessions, but it felt like we were just skimming the surface. Each week brought new revelations, but they were often overshadowed by the pain. I felt like I was in a constant battle with my feelings, wanting to believe that we could move forward, but also fearing that I'd end up hurt again. Then came the day that shook everything to its core. I was at home alone when I received a text from an unknown number. At first, I thought it might be a work-related message, but when I opened it, my heart dropped. "Hey Tom, it's Matt. We need to talk about Lisa. She hasn't been honest with you. I think you deserve to know the truth." My stomach churned as I read the words. I felt the walls closing in around me. My mind raced with questions. What could he possibly mean? Why was he reaching out to me now? I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to put it aside and focus on healing, but another part knew I couldn't just dismiss this. I decided to respond. "What do you mean? What truth?" His reply came quickly. "It's not what you think. I didn't want to be the reason for your problems, but Lisa has been lying to you about more than just me. Please, let's meet and talk." I felt a mix of anger and curiosity. How could he have the audacity to reach out to me? But I also felt a nagging feeling in the back of my mind. What if he was telling the truth? I knew I had to meet him. I needed to know what he was talking about. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop the next day. I walked in, my heart pounding. The atmosphere felt charged with tension as I spotted him sitting at a corner table, his face a mask of uncertainty. I approached cautiously, trying to read him as I sat down. "Thanks for meeting me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Look, I don't want to cause any more trouble, but I felt like you deserve to know what's been going on," Matt said, his tone serious. "Lisa isn't just cheating on you with me. There's more to the story." My heart raced as I listened to him talk. He explained how Lisa had been leading a double life, staying out late with friends while telling me she was at work events. He recounted conversations they had shared, how she spoke poorly about our relationship and seemed to thrive on the attention he gave her. Each word felt like a knife twisting deeper into my gut. I wanted to scream, to lash out at him for breaking the unwritten code between men, but I also felt a sense of clarity emerging through the fog. Lisa's betrayal went beyond what I had initially understood. "You need to confront her," Matt urged. "You deserve to know the extent of her lies." As I left the coffee shop, my mind was racing. I felt shattered but oddly empowered. I couldn't believe I had been so blind. I needed to confront Lisa once more, but this time it would be different. I was armed with new knowledge, and I was ready to face the truth, no matter how painful. Let me know if you'd like to continue to the next part. I spent the night trying to process everything Matt had told me. His words echoed in my mind, replaying like a broken record. I thought I'd already hit rock bottom, but the truth was that I was still in freefall. I couldn't shake the feeling that Lisa had crafted an entire narrative of lies, one that I had unknowingly played a part in. The next day, I found myself packing the living room, my heart racing with anticipation and dread. I knew I had to confront Lisa again. This time I wouldn't be silent. I had questions, and I was done allowing her to manipulate the narrative. When Lisa got home from work, I could tell something was off immediately. She walked in wearing that same bright smile she used to have, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Hey babe, how was your day?" she asked, trying to act casual. I turned to her, my heart pounding. "We need to talk, now." The smile faded from her face, replaced by confusion and fear. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice shaky. I didn't beat around the bush. "I met with Matt." The words hung in the air like a heavy weight. Lisa's face went pale. "You what? Why would you do that?" "Because he reached out to me. He said you've been lying to me about more than just your affair," I continued, my voice steady but filled with urgency. "He told me things that I can't ignore. You've been leading a double life, haven't you?" Her eyes darted around the room as if she was searching for an escape. "Tom, please, it's not what you think. I was going to tell you." "Tell me what?" I demanded, feeling the anger bubbling up inside me. "That you've been lying to me, that you've been out with friends while I've been working, that you've been using him for attention. How long have you been doing this?" She opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. Instead, tears began to spill down her cheeks. "It's complicated," she finally said, her voice trembling. "I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't know how to tell you." "Complicated," I scoffed. "You made a choice, Lisa. You chose to betray me, and now I'm done with your excuses." I could see her struggling to find the right words. "I never wanted to hurt you. I've just felt so alone and mad. He made me feel alive again. I thought I could hide it, that it wouldn't affect you." "Alive?" I echoed, incredulity dripping from my voice. "You thought cheating on your husband would bring you to life. You've destroyed everything we built together." "I know," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I messed up. I thought maybe if I could just have a little fun it wouldn't matter, but it did. I love you, Tom." Her words might have sounded sincere, but the sting of betrayal still lingered. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. You would have talked to me. You would have come to me when you felt lonely." "I was scared," she finally shouted, her emotions boiling over. "I didn't know how to talk to you anymore. You were always busy, and I felt isolated. I thought I could fix it on my own, by running into someone else's arms." I shot back. "That doesn't sound like a solution. That sounds like running away." She dropped her head, and for a moment the silence between us felt suffocating. I felt like I was caught in an emotional tug-of-war, torn between the anger I felt for her betrayal and the love that still lingered underneath it all. "Tom, I'm so sorry. I was stupid, and I'll do anything to make this right," she pleaded, her voice cracking. "Anything?" I asked, crossing my arms. "What does that even mean? Can you promise me you'll never lie again? Can you promise this will never happen again?" She hesitated, obviously grappling with the weight of her own words. "I can try. I can go to counseling and really work on myself. I'll do whatever it takes." "Try. That's not enough for me anymore, Lisa. I'm tired of trying to convince myself that we can get back to where we were. It's not fair to either of us," I said, my voice heavy with resignation. I felt the reality of our situation settling in. I loved her, but I couldn't ignore the pain she had caused. I looked at her, tears streaming down her face, and I felt my heart breaking all over again. "I don't want to lose you," she said, her voice desperate. "Please, I'll change. Just give me a chance." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But deep down, I knew this was more than just a broken promise. It was a fundamental fracture in our relationship. Lisa, I said, my voice barely above a whisper, I need time to think about everything. I can't make any promises right now. She nodded, her expression a mixture of heartbreak and understanding. I get it. I'll do whatever it takes to show you I can be better. As she turned away, I felt a wave of sadness wash over me. I knew I was standing at a crossroads. The love I once felt for her was still there, but so was the betrayal. The next few days were filled with an uneasy silence. Lisa tried to reach out, trying to engage me in conversation, but I was distant. I needed space, time to process everything that had happened. I spent my evenings alone, reflecting on what I wanted. I had always believed in the idea of forgiveness, but could I truly forgive her? Did I even want to? Then came the moment that would ultimately dictate our future. I called a trusted friend, Sarah, who had been my confidant throughout this ordeal. I needed her perspective, someone who wasn't emotionally involved. Tom, this is a tough situation. She began when we met at our favorite cafe. But you have to ask yourself what you want. Do you think you can rebuild that trust? I don't know, I admitted, feeling the weight of uncertainty. Part of me wants to believe we can fix this, but another part just feels so angry and hurt. That's normal. Just remember it's okay to put yourself first this time, she advised. You deserve to be happy too. Her words resonated with me. I realized I needed to prioritize my own emotional health and well-being. I couldn't keep putting Lisa's needs above my own when my heart was still shattered. As I left the cafe, I felt a new sense of determination. I had to make a choice soon, one that would define the next chapter of my life. I couldn't keep spinning in circles. Let me know if you'd like to continue with the next part. The following days blurred together as I wrestled with my emotions. I knew I had to make a decision about my relationship with Lisa, but the weight of that decision felt heavier than ever. I spent countless hours reflecting on everything that had happened, the betrayal, the tears, and the painful confrontations. Each moment replayed in my mind like a movie I couldn't turn off. One night, I found myself lying in bed, staring up at the ceiling, my mind racing. I thought about the love I once felt for Lisa and the way she used to make me laugh. But then I remembered the pain her infidelity had caused me, the feeling of helplessness as I sifted through a web of lies. I couldn't ignore that part of me that was still deeply wounded. After a few more days of silence between us, I decided to invite Lisa to sit down for a serious conversation. I hoped that by sharing my thoughts openly with her, I could find a path forward, whatever that might look like. When Lisa entered the living room, she looked anxious. "Hey, Tom," she said softly. "Is everything okay?" I gestured for her to sit down. "We need to talk," I began, my voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've been thinking a lot about us." Her expression shifted from concern to fear. "Okay, what's on your mind?" I took a deep breath. "I've been feeling betrayed, Lisa. It's hard for me to see past what you did. I don't want to feel this pain anymore." "I know," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "I'm so sorry for everything. I never wanted to hurt you. I'll do anything to make amends." I could see her desperation, but I had to be honest about my feelings. "I want to believe that, but the trust that once held us together feels shattered. I can't just forget what happened between us." "I understand," she replied, her voice breaking. "But please give me a chance to prove that I can change. I'll go to counseling, I'll be open and honest. I'll do everything you need." "I appreciate that, but I need more than just words," I said, feeling tears stinging in my own eyes. "I need time to think about what I want. I can't promise you anything right now." As the words left my mouth, I could feel the weight of my decision pressing heavily on my chest. I needed time to heal, and I couldn't rush into anything. Lisa nodded, her expression a mix of heartbreak and understanding. "I get it. Just know that I'm here and I'll wait for you. I'll do whatever it takes to win you back." "Thank you," I replied, my voice heavy. "But I also think we need some space. I need to focus on myself." Her face fell, but she didn't argue. "Okay, I'll give you the space you need." As she left the room, I felt a mixture of relief and sorrow. I understood the gravity of what I was asking, but I knew I needed to prioritize my own emotional health. I needed clarity and time to process everything. In the following weeks, I focused on self-care. I went for long runs, started reading books I hadn't picked up in years, and spent more time with friends. I even took a short trip to a nearby cabin to clear my mind. The solitude gave me the opportunity to reflect on my life, my marriage, and what I truly wanted. During this time, I realized how much I had lost myself in the relationship. I had poured so much of my energy into making Lisa happy that I had neglected my own needs. This journey of self-discovery was liberating yet painful. I knew I had to find a way to heal before I could even think about whether reconciling with Lisa was the right choice. One evening, as I sat on the porch of the cabin, watching the sun set over the trees, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I realized that healing wouldn't happen overnight. I needed to take the time to process my feelings, to grieve the relationship I once had, while also acknowledging that I could forge a new path, whether it included Lisa or not. When I returned home, things felt different. I was more centered, more aware of my own needs. Lisa reached out, trying to reconnect, and I could see the change in her demeanor. She was more open and willing to discuss our feelings, but I also sensed that she was still grappling with her own guilt. One night, as we sat down to talk, she began to cry. "I'm so sorry for everything, Tom. I made a huge mistake and I can't express how much I regret it. I want to be the partner you deserve." "I know," I said softly, "but it's going to take time for me to fully trust you again." "I understand," she replied, wiping her tears. "I'll be patient. I just want you to be happy even if it's not with me." Her words struck me. That night I realized that part of healing was also about understanding what love truly meant. It was about respect, trust, and the willingness to be vulnerable. As the days turned into weeks, I started to see glimpses of the woman I had fallen in love with, the girl with the radiant smile and infectious laughter. I slowly allowed myself to hope that maybe, just maybe, we could find a way back to each other. But I also knew that, regardless of whether we reconciled, I needed to prioritize my own happiness. I had learned valuable lessons about love, trust, and the importance of communication. In that moment, I made a vow to myself. No matter the outcome, I would pursue a life filled with authenticity and fulfillment. Whether that meant rebuilding my relationship with Lisa or embarking on a new journey alone, I would choose the path that honored my emotional health and personal growth. Let me know if you'd like to read the final part. The weeks turned into a couple of months, and I found myself in a state of cautious optimism regarding my relationship with Lisa. We had both committed to counseling, and while the journey was fraught with ups and downs, there were moments that felt genuine and healing. I was learning to communicate my needs, while Lisa was working to express her remorse and understand her actions. One evening, after a session with Dr. Miller, I felt lighter. Lisa and I had an honest discussion about her feelings of neglect and my struggles with work-life balance. We talked about how we could better support each other moving forward. For the first time in a while, I felt a glimmer of hope that we might be able to salvage our marriage. As we sat on the couch that night, I reached for her hand. "I know this is going to take time," I said, squeezing her fingers gently, "but I can see that you're trying and I appreciate that." "I'll keep trying, Tom. I want to be the partner you deserve and I'll never take you for granted again," she vowed, her eyes earnest. The conversation continued and we shared our fears and dreams. It was a moment of vulnerability that reminded me why I had fallen in love with her in the first place. Those conversations became a regular part of our lives, and slowly I started to feel the walls around my heart begin to crumble. But just when I thought we were making real progress, Lisa received a text one afternoon, a message from Matt. I saw her face go pale as she read it. My stomach dropped and I felt the tension build. "Who is it?" I asked, my heart racing. It's Matt," she said, her voice trembling. "He wants to talk." I felt a surge of anger and betrayal. What does he want? After everything, why would he reach out? "I don't know," she cried, her eyes wide with fear. "I should block him, but I'm scared he might say something that could hurt us." "Or hurt you," I added, my voice sharp. "You can't keep letting him have power over you." She looked at me, tears welling up in her eyes. I know, but it's complicated. I don't want to drag you back into that mess again. I've worked so hard to move forward." I took a deep breath, trying to maintain my composure. "Maybe it's best if we go together to talk to him, face him together and put an end to this once and for all." Lisa nodded, and we set a date to meet him at the same coffee shop where I had confronted him before. The day came, and as we walked in together, I could feel the tension in the air. Lisa gripped my hand tightly, and I could sense her fear. When Matt arrived, he seemed surprised to see us both. "I didn't expect you both to come," he said, looking between us. "Let's get right to it," I said, my voice steady but firm. "What do you want from us?" He hesitated before speaking. "I just wanted to clear the air. I didn't want to be the reason for your breakup, but I felt it was important to tell you, Lisa, that I never meant for it to go this far. I care about you, but I know you're trying to rebuild with Tom." "Your care was misplaced," I interjected, feeling the heat rise in my chest. "You crossed a line, and now it's time to back off." Lisa looked at Matt, her expression a mix of sadness and anger. "I should have never let it get to that point. I'm sorry for any pain I caused you, Matt, but I'm committed to making things right with Tom." Matt nodded slowly, and I could see the realization wash over him. "I get it. I'll respect your decision. I just hope you both find happiness." After a tense exchange, we left the coffee shop, and I felt a wave of relief wash over me. The confrontation had put a definitive end to that chapter of our lives. In the weeks that followed, Lisa and I continued to work on ourselves and our relationship. We attended counseling sessions regularly, and I found myself feeling more connected to her than I had in a long time. We began to rebuild our foundation of trust, slowly but surely. I learned to communicate my needs more openly, and she learned to express her feelings without fear of judgment. I found comfort in the small moments we shared, cooking together, taking long walks, and laughing over silly inside jokes. Then came the day I realized that I was ready to truly forgive her. I had spent so much time dwelling on the past, but I wanted to move forward. I looked over at Lisa one evening as we sat on the patio, the sun setting in the distance. "I think I'm ready to forgive you," I said softly. Her eyes widened, and she took my hands in hers. "Really? That means everything to me, Tom. I promise to never take you for granted again." "I know," I replied, feeling a sense of warmth spread through me. "But I need you to understand that trust takes time to rebuild. I'm not expecting everything to be perfect, but I want us to keep moving in the right direction." "I promise," she said, her voice filled with sincerity. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I felt a renewed sense of hope. It wouldn't be an easy journey, but I was willing to fight for our love. I realized that the road to healing was not just about forgiving the past. It was also about building a future together, one step at a time. I had learned valuable lessons through this experience about love, trust, and most importantly, about myself. I now understood that relationships are not just about the good times. They're also about weathering the storms together and emerging stronger. As I held Lisa's hand, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. I was ready to embrace the future, whatever it may hold. In the end, love is a choice, and I chose to love again, even in the face of betrayal. And that's when I knew I was finally on the path to healing.